We're pleased to welcome now Joe Spraggins. He is a retired Brigadier General from the United States Air Force, serves now as the Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. General, Mr. Executive Director, thanks for coming on today, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
This is a big event for coastal Mississippi for sure. A lot of folks have come to the area to take in the sights of these fantastic classic vehicles parked all around us.
It is. It's and I tell you, it gets bigger every year, I think, even though I know the numbers might be down just a little bit as far as registered, but I think they'll probably catch up in the next day or two.
Yes, what Woody was sharing with us earlier, he, of course, the Executive Director of Cruisin the Coast, he said we're about 9,300, just under the 10,000 mark that was hit last year, but still a couple of days left. Good chance we'll probably hit that mark.
Good chance, and that doesn't count the other 5,000 that are not registered, you know.
Well, that's true. That's true. There's a lot of them here, but the crowds are big, I think, which just indicates just how popular this event is. These folks are bound by this common love of these classic cars.
Well, and, you know, and Department of Marine Resources, through our seafood, we do seafood sponsorships, and one of the things that we're one of the presenting sponsors for Cruisin the Coast. And it's a big deal because we're able to put people out and tell them about Gulf Fresh.
Yeah.
We want you to eat Gulf Fresh, and that's what we're talking about.
Well, how are we doing? What does the yield look like this year, last year, relative to other years? How's the industry doing overall?
We're doing good. The oysters are still coming back from Bonnie Carey in 2019, and we're doing pretty good with those. And we're about to go out with the leases to lease about 80% of the bottoms to be able to put private industry doing it.
Okay.
And that's going to really help because they have more money to be able to put smaller leases at a time in than we do being able to take care of 12,000 acres at one time. So that's coming back good. We have the off-bottom oysters, which is doing great. And that is a new thing that we started in about 2018, and it's working very good. And our shrimp industry, the shrimp are beautiful. We have plenty of them. The problem is we have too many imports.
Huh.
And,
really?
it's hard for a shrimper to be able to go out and pay $5 a gallon for diesel and go out and shrimp and come back and get 70 cents a pound for the shrimp. And that's what they're doing, and they can't afford it. And so that's why it's hard to get them out. And the shrimp are plentiful. There's plenty of shrimp. It's just a fact of being able to afford to go get them.
I mean, they could do it, but I suspect it makes it kind of cost prohibitive to sell what they harvest on a retail basis, especially if they're competing against others who are able to do it at a lower cost.
It is, and and that's a huge thing. A large amount of the shrimp in the United States is imported. And we need to get the word out to the people to understand that we want to buy our shrimp. We want to buy Gulf Fresh shrimp. We don't want to buy imported shrimp. And we're trying to get some legislation this year to be able to put it where you have to put it on the menu to say is it imported or not. Because a lot of people don't understand that they're not getting it. They think they're getting Gulf Fresh, especially when they come to South Mississippi.
Yeah.
They think they're getting Gulf Fresh, but a lot of times they're not. And we want to make sure that they have, that people understand that. And we want to get the word out to them to say, ask for it. Is it Gulf Fresh? Is it Gulf Fresh? If it's not, I don't want it.
So, of course, that would accommodate the situation where you're buying seafood in a restaurant. But what about the retail sale of raw, fresh seafood at a seafood shop? Is there a way for them to delineate that as well?
We can, and that's one of the things we're looking at also, and to be able to say that it's imported or not. And it's just like anything else. We did it in the catfish industry. Yeah. And they went in and, the Mississippi Catfish Association or whatever they're called, they worked it out and was able to do that to where you have to say, is it either import or not? So that's all we're asking for. We just want people to know what you're buying.
Okay. So this is something that could be enacted at the state level, right? So you're working with our legislature on that.
We are. And I met with the governor's office yesterday, and we're going to try to put a bill together to look at it, to see why we can word it the right way, to be able to kind of marry off of what is going on with the catfish.
Certainly they were receptive to that. Huh?
I don't think they're not receptive at all. I think they're perfectly fine with it. I think the governor's office is all fine with it. I mean, they didn't seem to be upset at me when I was talking to them. So.
What about the lingering effects of this Bonnie Carey situation? I know that was quite the controversial issue a short 4 or 5 years ago. How are we doing on that now?
We're doing good. You know, the Bonnie Carey is there. It was built in 1928 to 31 time frame, and it was done to be able to stop the flooding in New Orleans.
Right.
Well, and we understand that. But things have changed over the years, especially what we've done all the way from kind of Canadian border down to that point. You know, we've done a lot of things to the Mississippi River. We've redirected the river itself and how we, you know, had flows. We've done a lot of things. We've built different levees. We've done other things. We need to go in and find a way to be able to try to mitigate that the best possible, and that's something we want to work with. The governor's office is, we're going to try to put together some stuff with the lieutenant governor and others to be able to say, hey, this is what we think we need to do in Mississippi, and how do we go about it, and how do we work with the Corps of Engineers to work with us.
Makes sense. Also, Joe, we've got a huge storm, of course, approaching the Gulf Coast of Florida. It's churning out there in the Gulf right now. Does that have any impact on shrimp, oysters, etc., around where our folks fish?
It wouldn't have that much impact here, and it is going to have impact in Florida, obviously. And but you know, as to the devastation, I'm not sure how much it will be. Anytime that you churn that much water up in the Gulf, you know, you're going to have an impact with the estuary somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And especially if it gets in like the Apalachicola area and all, with the oysters and all, they have a lot of oysters. If you get into that area, it's going to, you know, wipe out the oyster industry in that part of it, which they're just getting back.
Yeah.
And so, you know, God bless them. I hope that I'm praying for them that they will be okay over there and everybody stay safe. We can rebuild, but we can't bring you back. So, you know, if we can just keep you safe, that's the best thing.
Well, that's kind of leads me to the next question. Is that many of these businesses have been around a long time, right? Been passed down generationally.
Right.
Are we producing any new fishermen that want to get in the industry?
No. Yeah. Not many.
Yeah.
And just to give you an idea, the Asian community was huge in the shrimping and the oysters. But, you know, if you look at it, in about 2005, 4-5 time frame, we had over 800 shrimp boats out the first day of shrimp season. This year we had 47.
47.
So that tells you where it's going. And when you have these disasters, especially like with the oyster industry, when you say we go 5 years and you can't harvest oysters, how do you stay in business?
Not viable.
Yeah, how do you stay there? You can't do it, you know. And Mississippi is the only state in the Gulf that pays the fishermen when we get money from the federal through commerce. Yeah. And the Bonnie Carey, we pay the fishermen and try to pay back the loss for that year. And this year we've spent about almost $6 million just in the commercial fishing side of it, paying back. And also we paid back the vendors and everything else, you know, as well as the seafood operators. We're trying to help them. We're trying to do everything we can.
Is there anything, Joe, that you need specifically from the legislature? You talked earlier about this just labeling law, perhaps that would show a customer in a restaurant or perhaps in a retail seafood shop the origin, the source of the seafood. Anything else you're looking for? You're working with our legislature on?
We're working with several different items, but mainly that's one of the biggest items we have right now. Most of the other items that we're working with, obviously, we got the oyster bill signed last year to be able to lease the bottoms. That was huge. Okay. And so we should start leasing the bottoms. We'll go out with and the leases will probably start coming in around the 1st of December. That we will start reviewing, and then we'll have them ready for the spring so they can go out and do the spat for the spring spat. But the other things that we're working are just kind of mainly administrative stuff. Okay. And but we're doing pretty good. I mean, the legislators, our governor that treats us so good. I mean, he is great to us, and our lieutenant governor is great to us, and all the elected officials are just they're very great. They help us out. We're not having any issues right now. Now once again, the legislature's trying to help me with the Bonnie Carey. What do we do? Yeah. So what we're going to do there, and we need to work it. We're trying to make sure that Louisiana doesn't build that other diversion, the Mid-Britain diversion down south of New Orleans, because that's not something that would help us at all. That's going to devastate us if we get in.
Yeah. Joe, pleasure talking to you today. Joe Spraggins, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Thanks for coming on, Joe. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And remember, when you go into the restaurant, is it Gulf Fresh?
Yes, sir. We got it.